All right, everybody, thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, from realtors, lenders, builders, developers, residential or commercial, essentially gathering insight, inspiration, really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else and what I'd like to consider a real estate titan. Our very special guest and featured titan for today, Casey Budge. Say, hey, Casey, I'm super excited.
Hey.
I cannot wait to just dive into the series of questions. And you're taking the time all the way. And as I said earlier, beautiful California. So
it's
thank you so much.
Definitely the most beautiful part of California that I'm in, for sure.
Oh gosh, it's all beautiful. We were talking, there's palm trees, there's beaches,
cows,
there's ocean, cows,
military jets. Those are my favorite part.
See, there you go. See, this is a different side of California that everybody really needs to understand. It's not all the beaches and that sort of thing. But Casey, again, it's an honor for you to be on the show. I'm super excited to share your story with the world out there, really what drives and motivates you, just get perspective. So if you're ready, I just want to dive in.
I'm ready.
Okay, cool. So let's just start with the first question, telling everybody a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'm Casey Budge. I'm with Century 21, the United Group in Hanford, California. I am a military brat from the very beginning, all 31 years of my life.
Wow.
Both my parents were in the military. My stepdad was in the Army, grandparents, my husband. Now my little brother is in boot camp right now. Super proud of him.
Killer.
So grew up military all the way through. Met my husband in my 5th high school. So
fifth high school.
Yeah, we moved around a lot.
That's crazy.
So I kind of know the moving, all aspects of it. So
right, which plays into just a little bit about real estate, right? Putting yourself in somebody's shoes that way.
Yeah, a tiny bit. You know what people are going through, moving every 2.5 years.
Oh gosh, that's crazy. I mean, there's a lot of military professionals that are out there, especially in Colorado and in Colorado Springs, and obviously that's where you and I met years and years ago. But coming into that, I mean, it's tough. I mean, there's no easy way to put it, and but having the right professional to guide you through that process, it does help, Casey.
Yep.
So.
That's my goal.
Now, with that in mind, what was the whole progression and path into real estate for you in the first place? What was your why real estate, and what was your path to today?
Well, I mean, like I said, we've been moving every 2 years of my life, and then even sometimes more than every 2 years. So I've watched my mom move countless times. I've seen the stressors of moving, and I mean, it's a big deal in people's lives, and it's what I'm good at because I've done it so often.
Sure.
That I feel like it's kind of me giving back to help military families, progress into their new duty station easily and as little stress as possible. There's always going to be stress, but
right.
That's my goal, is to help, ease the transition for military families.
Okay. And I love the fact, again, as we talked about, you have the perspective. You've actually lived the life. You walk the talk. You moving around so much, and this is my perspective out for the rest of the audience out there, is you having all those opportunities to meet new people and engage and have conversations, and really understanding how to listen and then when to talk and that sort of thing. Beautifully, in my opinion, translates into real estate, because it's all relationships, and it's all about being able to adapt in those situations, which I find it to be, an amazing asset for a real estate professional. But then you having a deep rooted history in the military, you're really going to be able to understand what they're going through and guide them through as best as possible with as little stress, as you said, as possible.
Right.
So I love that. I think that's great. And going into that whole portion, and I think this is a beautiful segue into the next question into this, to get everybody to know you a little bit more, Casey, is really the why question. And I know that kind of gets thrown around a lot, and people are like, oh, what's your why? But it opens people's eyes and ears up to who you are and why you do what you do. So what motivates you? What excites you to get you out of bed to do what you do to the level you do it at, Casey?
I mean, it's really just helping military families. I want to give back to people that are serving our country. I've seen, in my house for years, all of the years of my life, how hard it is for military families, everybody, not just the service member. And I just want to be there for them in the way that I can be.
Oh.
That's my why.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. And again, it continues to echo what you've been saying, is really caring and giving. It's not about yourself. It's about others. And you having the individual perspective of what they're going through and what they have gone through, to me is crucially important. So again, anybody out there, this is the genuine article here. I mean, Casey's on the show for a reason. Trust me when I tell you. So I want to get into the next portion. And this is actually a crowd pleaser for a lot of the audience, subscribers, people who are watching or listening to this. They want to know what the Titans are doing or have done to grow and scale their business. So if you could look back thus far and pick or choose one or two things you added that took it from one level to the next, what's that look like for you, Casey?
There are two huge things that have helped my business in every state that I've been in.
Okay.
The first is finding local professionals that I can lean on for local knowledge, because that's something that I'm going to lack wherever I go until I, have been there a while.
Sure.
So finding, especially lender partners that I can trust, that know the area, that I can lean on in things that I don't know about the areas,
sure.
Has been huge. Title companies, also big, just people that are here in the area that I can lean on for support also, has been huge for me.
Love it.
And then the second thing is social media. It has completely changed my business for the better, because I don't have ways to get out and build relationships with people that have, that are coming and going like the military are. So it gives me a platform to get in front of people and meet people and build relationships that otherwise I wouldn't be able to do. So I lean heavily on social media.
I love that. And to me, I want to dissect that a little bit for everybody out there. So the first portion is, relying or reaching out to other professionals in the markets that you're working, because there's going to be a lot of viewers who are watching or listening to your particular episode and saying, gosh, you know what? I've moved around a lot too. I'm a real estate professional. How am I going to be able to grow and scale my business during this every 2 years, every 3 years, every 5 years? I'm moving, I'm changing markets. So when you do make that move and transition, Casey, through your life, is there a certain way that you reach out to these professionals? How are you kind of figuring that out, just for everybody out there?
To meet other professionals in my area, I've honestly lucked into meeting a lot of really great people.
Okay.
When I first got here and I was first licensed in California, I talked to a few lenders, and you just have to keep going until you find somebody that you really vibe with. Because I think that relationship is such a huge relationship to have in your business, because, I'm not going to do much business without partners to do it with. People need financing. So I need somebody strong that I really get along with, to be a partner with me.
I love that.
So just continue talking to other professionals till you find one you like.
A process of elimination. I mean, sometimes it's tricky, right? But I love that, because you should be out anyway. You should be meeting people, as you said, and that you'll find the right people. I love that advice.
Yeah.
It's huge stuff. Going into the portion of the technical side, I love that you're really talking about physical and relationships and being involved in the community, but utilizing technology and social media to grow and scale that, which is beautiful. So is there anything in particular in a way that you're able to communicate with these professionals? Is there a certain site that you like to use? I mean, just anything out there for the people who are watching or listening.
For professionals or for growing my relationship base?
Your relationship base for buyers, sellers, things like that.
Yeah. So I rely heavily on Facebook.
Okay.
There's a ton of groups that are available for military and military spouses to connect. And so finding people there, friending people, and then just organically having conversations. All of these new babies are coming up on my Facebook, live feed or whatever. Right. And I love babies. So, hey, I like your baby. Yes. You know what I mean? And it's things that I wouldn't normally see because I'm not in that person's house in front of them, but it puts me in front of them, says, hey, I see you. I like what's going on in your house. Good for you. You know, those kinds of things. So, you know, I really focus on joining groups in the area, friending people in the area, friending people you may know based on other friends. That's a really good source of, you know, relationship building. And I utilize that, and it's worked out well for me.
Oh, that's great. That's great advice. There's takeaways for everybody out there to really look at. And I think that when we were talking about really getting in front of the right people at the right place at the right time, you can't be in 100,000 places physically. But if you're on sites like Facebook, as you mentioned, and somebody is getting married or they're having a new kid or there's an announcement out where somebody's getting a job promotion, you can always be there in the right places through those lifestyle changes, which make really sense for people to buy or sell homes. We're not just buying or selling homes just for the sake of doing it. So that's a true testament to being at the right place at the right time. And I love that advice. So hopefully everybody wrote that down, pause it, rewind it, listen to this over and over again. Casey's here. I don't want to throw you under the bus, Casey, but reach out to her. She's a wealth of knowledge, that sort of thing, especially if you are in the California area. I mean, it's always good to network, that sort of thing, but hopefully that wasn't overstepping, Casey.
No, of course not.
I think it's great to share. So let's go into the next particular question. And this one ends up being the tricky part of this interview and the series. It's the challenge question. So I always lead into it with the Titans this way: is we all have challenges, we all have struggles, whether they're personal or professional. It's not so much what happens, but how we respond, what we learn, and what we can share and grow from. So Casey, if you're comfortable sharing a challenge or two that you dealt with, what's that look like for you?
A huge challenge my entire life kind of goes back to all of the things that we've been talking about. I haven't been real great at creating personal relationships, friend relationships.
Sure.
You know, growing up and moving all the time, I knew I was going to be somewhere for 2 years and leaving. So I never really, or my friends were going to be leaving because they're military too. So you never really know how long you have in somebody's life. So I never really, you know, created lasting friendships with people. Right. And it's been a challenge that I've really been overcoming in the last couple years, trying to do better at building friendships and relationships with people. And I think I'm doing a lot better at it.
Love it. Love it. I think that gosh, that's such a tough thing to share, you know, out for everybody, is the challenge of building relationships in that constant motion or movement. You know, I can only imagine. I mean, we moved a lot growing up, but nowhere near as much as you did. And, you know, I always looked at it as, okay, well, I'm going to be here for a certain amount of time and, you know, just make the most of it. And you just keep moving on. I mean, that's very tough because there's a lot of people that stay in the same place their whole life, and they knew everybody since they were a little kid and they all grew up. It's just a different dynamic, but you know this just as well as I do. This whole world and this life is based around family and friends and true relationships. And it's okay. I'm a quality over quantity kind of person. You know, so you don't have to be friends with everybody. You don't have to make these deep relationships all over the place, but a few I think is right, you know? So, but that's not easy to share because it's tough. I mean, and there's times where we can be lonely and I understand that too. And there's a lot of people out there that are watching or listening to this. At the end of the day, I think we should all just reach out more. We should all just be more inquisitive and look out for those people who we can help. And, because there's a lot of shy people. There's a lot of people that just don't want to connect because they know they're not going to be there for a long time. Doesn't mean you still can't have fun. Doesn't mean you still can't build, you know, great conversations and great memories. I
mean, and people see my face and, you know, I have a case of the RBF. So I'm not, I don't think I'm the easiest person to approach, but, you know, I'm really shy. So it, you know, it comes off as a certain way that I don't mean it to. And I think that's really affected that as well.
I hear you with the RBF. And I want to tell everybody out there right now, for the record, you might think that, or because Casey said that, but it's the furthest thing from the truth. You're super warm, very sweet. The conversations are just really, really amazing, Casey. And when it comes down to it, the people that really know you understand that. So again, let's not judge books by their covers. And if somebody has RBF, that's okay. You might too, and you might not even know it. So just have a conversation. Stop judging each other and just be kind. you just never know where a conversation is going to go. If somebody's at a grocery store, at a park bench, at the gym, you're at the airport, just talk. Just talk. I mean, I love
can
that.
take that advice too.
Yeah, everybody. And I think that's great stuff all the way through and through. This is huge information, and it comes down. But thanks for sharing that, Casey. It's not easy to air your stuff out in front of everybody. So I appreciate it. I know everybody else out there does too. So I want to shift gears, go to something a little softer.
Okay.
Actually, one of my favorite questions. So this comes back down to the travel back in time. So if you could travel back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice or two, any age range, any time frame, what would that look like for young Casey?
I would tell me to really live in the moment. And, everywhere that you go, even if it's not the most awesome place. I mean, I lived in Kansas for a while.
Sure.
So.
Kansas. Flat.
But you have to make it good. You know what I mean? So everywhere is what you make it. People complain about Hanford, California, Lemoore, California, but I mean, the sequoias are right over there. The beach, 2 hours away. Yeah. You can make so much of where you are, but you just have to put a little effort into it. And I think I've always been looking into the future so much that I never really concentrated on the present. And I would urge myself and anyone else to do that.
Wow. Yeah, that's great advice, Casey. I mean, I look at that and making the most out of every situation and being in the moment. That's so beautiful. And unfortunately, there's so many top producers and professionals that are always just so go, go, go. And they are focused way down the line for amount of production and time allotment and systems and tactics. They're not taking the time to stop and smell the roses.
Right.
And I just think that that's great. And look at any environment that you're at. I mean, I think, what was that adage? If you're bored, you're just a boring person. I think that's what a lot of people say that way. And it's like, there's always something to do. If you want to go do something.
I've never heard anybody say that.
Yeah, there you go.
Did you just make that up?
I didn't, I swear. I've heard it. It was not mine. I cannot quote that. But okay. I think that it comes down to you can really make the most of everything. And I love that thought. And there's so many of us who can take that into our own lives with our families, with our careers, with travel. I think that's great. I love that. So huge advice. Not just for young Casey, but everybody, myself included. So I want to go into the next part, and this is actually the second crowd pleaser of this particular series. It's the feeding of the mind question. So everybody wants to know, whoever's watching or listening to this, what the Titans are doing to feed their minds, how they're growing intellectually that way. So I always lead into it with books or podcasts or influencers that you're really feeding your mind. How are you doing that, Casey?
I read so many self-help books.
Okay.
All the self-help books. I read them all.
Wow.
I don't know why. Okay. I don't know. But I've got like 7 bookshelves in my house that are just like full of self-help books.
I love it.
And they're all the same. They all have the same information. There's no like get whatever quickly.
Yeah.
It's all, you just keep at it. You make small decisions that become big decisions that become habits. The miracle morning was a huge one for me. So now I get up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym with my buddy Raquel, my local lender. Shout out.
Hey, if you're watching.
I heard she was having a watch party, so she's probably the only one.
Oh, okay. Oh, come on. There's gotta be plenty of people watching this. There will be. You'll see everybody. That's great.
Yeah. So, I mean, that book really helped me, you make a habit, a good habit, and then the rest of your day is just building on that. And, you're not changing your life in a day, but what you do in a day changes your life.
I think that's
great. Oh my God, that sounded so cool.
That really did. That'll be down in the comments below, everybody. That was beautiful. But Casey, I think that's a great, when it comes to books, as you're reading a bunch of them, is there any other books that you recommend or anything like that, or they come to mind?
I mean, I read a lot. One of my very favorite books that really did change my life is all the Dave Ramsey series,
Oh,
Living Like
great.
That.
Yeah.
I think what he does changes a lot of people's lives for the better, and people should check those out.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Links in the comments down below as always. How about podcasts? Anything along those lines?
I mean, I listen to the Dave Ramsey podcast, and I listen to Tom Ferry. He's a real estate coach.
Love it.
You know, you got to get a lot of information listening to people who have done it well before you.
I love that. To me, that's so important and I like the fact that you're looking at it from different perspectives. Obviously, you're a ferocious reader and you're constantly learning that way, but you're also listening to podcasts and audio format because you guys as busy real estate professionals, I mean, you're driving a lot, you're in the gym a lot. I mean, it's hard to sit there and actually read a book sometimes where you can always listen, right?
I got to do something while I'm doing my makeup.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
There you go, everybody.
Like,
come on, let's be real.
I can't just sit there in silence, okay?
Yeah. You might as well learn. And again, pulling it from different sources. And I think that's super, super smart. But I like the fact that you're looking at it in the physicality too, as you mentioned, kind of advice portion to scale your business is hooking up with great professionals locally. So learning that way and then learning from the books and the podcasts and then, getting it from those sources, really picking and choosing what works for you. And then you become the best version of yourself. And I think
it keeps you motivated listening to podcasts and reading all the time.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, hey, as always, everybody, again, I'm going to have links and comments down below so you can feed your mind and learn the same way that Casey's doing, or at least somewhat same way. But Casey, this has been amazing, chock full of really, really great information. Everybody out there is really getting to know you a little bit better, but I want to wrap everything up with a final question. So this one ends up being the quote or mantra that you live by that sums you up as a person, a professional. What's that look like for Casey Budge?
My very favorite quote is, if you don't like where you are, move. You're not a tree.
I love that. That's so great.
It works really well for real estate because it's about moving. But I mean, in general, if you're not happy where you are, change it.
Wow. I think that's amazing. But it's so true. I mean, it's funny, but in the true reality, I mean, that you look at your career, you look at your actual geographic location, any habits that you have in your life, whether it's your health or religion or family. I mean, you're not a tree. You're not stuck there. If you want to be better, do something different.
Right.
I love that. It's inspiring.
But also you got to be funny. So it's perfect for me.
It's got to throw it in there. I don't know if anybody saw our little subtitles down there as far as our names, but hopefully you'll look back in there. If you're listening to us, I'm sorry. I'm not going to say them out loud. You'll have to go and watch Casey's interview and then check those out. But Casey, this has been amazing. An absolute honor to have you. Again, just
thank you.
Your warmth and light and humor is just so refreshing and amazing. And you are an official real estate titan. So I'd shake your hand if you were here, but I'll give you the digital high five maybe. Yeah, this has been great. So thanks so much, Casey. And
thank you.
Everybody, thank you so much for your time and attention. As always, your love and support. If you like what we're doing here with Real Estate Titans, please don't forget to like our Facebook page, subscribe to YouTube, and have a listen on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcast. Live every Tuesday and Friday afternoon, a different Titan, a different location. We'll catch everybody on the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care.